Join us on a journey through history along what is perhaps the oldest road in Europe, the Ridgeway. For 40-odd miles through Berkshire and Wiltshire, the Ridgeway follows the same route it's traced for 5,000 years. It's one of England's green roads, marking the trackways that connected ancient settlements high up on the chalk, safe to travel and easy to defend. But history meets legend along here too. They say George slew the dragon, long-forgotten tribes certainly buried their dead, and Arthur's knights went off to do battle. To these places beside the Ridgeway, modern riders are about to journey. We join the Green Road in the east, where it meets the Thames. Nowadays there's barely a hamlet, let alone a village up on the Ridgeway. Just many curious places radiating from Streatley, an ancient river crossing for farmers, traders and warriors in whose footsteps we tread. Imagine the man who held this sword 3,000 years ago. He was well born and wealthy. Only the nobility could afford swords of bronze, and he would have set off across the Thames at Streatley to do battle on the Ridgeway. 3,000 years later, that valuable sword and many others were recovered from the bottom of the river. Historians reckon they know how it got there, and it proves what a lifeline the ancient route provided. The Ridgeway has always been a tribal boundary, with hundreds of battles fought along its length. The defeated warriors often turning and fleeing back towards the Thames with the victors in hot pursuit. There they had a choice: stand and fight on the banks, or throw their weapons into the water and swim for it. But enough grim history, because in our saddling enclosure on the riverbank, today's travellers are being lent their transport for a more pleasant journey.
Yes, definitely like the mirror. What is it?
For the first leg, our RidgeRiders include Paula Hamilton, the model and actress who bought her first motorbike at only 13.
Oh, I say, sweet as a nut, hear that? First time.
Neil Morrissey borrows a classic AJS 350. He bought his first bike after riding one in the TV series Boone. And the author Richard Plante, husband of Linda Plante and motorcycle fanatic, swaps his huge Harley Davidson for an immaculate British Triumph Bonneville from the 1950s. The ridge lies a few minutes out of town. Road turns into lane, which turns into track, which eventually turns into Ridgeway. En route, Richard Plante now confesses he's recently broken his foot, falling off a motorbike. There's also a monsoon, and I'm beginning to wonder if it's all been a good idea, as we pause to weather the storm. Still, spirits are high under the helmets. That's the Harley look,
It's the standard contour cut for the Harley, is particularly for a man with a receding hairline. When you take that helmet off, you want that windswept look.
Where's that accent from? Is it Chicago accent? It sounds like a friend of mine from Chicago, is it? No? Am I wrong?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, it's, I don't know where the hell it's from, actually, anymore. I think it's half from here and half from New York.
Really?
Yeah, but not heavy New York.
How long have you been over here, then? I mean,
about 18 years. Off and on. Right? Yeah, it's fair all the time.
Bearing in mind that...
That's why I'm used to this.
I was going to say, would you prefer riding in America?
I've even originated a technique for riding like this with shades on. It's the one-finger wiper. Very difficult, but it can be mastered. Yeah.
Yeah. Desperately for these sleds.
Tell us about the book, because
you're not interested in it?
No, I am interested in it. It's only so wet we could get here, I think, before we start to drown.
The Hog Fever is about my obsession with the Harleys. How I stole my wife's credit cards to buy them. I'm taking money from various banks. Yeah. In fact, I thought I saw a NatWest patrol car very close on my tail.
So if we see some flashing lights behind us...
Yeah, then I'll accelerate.
Where's that?
We must push on, and I must introduce our advisor and green road expert, Alan Kine, who's promised to keep an eye on us.
Do take care, it's going to be very slippery on the chalk, so keep the speed down, ride in a straight line, watch the ruts.
How much has the Ridgeway changed over the centuries? Well, until 200 years ago, when the Enclosure Act defined the shape of the fields, there were many tracks up here. Travellers would use whichever was the most passable. The Ridgeway route was maybe half a mile wide, but it was high and fairly dry, a safer route to travel than what was marshy woodland beneath. And in any case, the ancient Britons could get a much better view from up here of the Harwell Atomic Laboratory and the Didcot Power Station. This area once marked a very important place for very important people. You can get a shortcut to it off the main road. It's known as Scutchamanog, and for us it's the first history stop along the Ridgeway.
This is great all of a sudden.
I know. It's starting to dry out now.
Yeah, but do you feel like you're cooking inside with a damp?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I feel a bit like a sort of boiled chicken at Christmas.
That's right, I should have brought chicken breast and stuck it down my pants. It would have been cooked by now.
Somewhere in the copse here is what remains of a man-made hill that was once 70 feet high. It's now hollowed out like a sort of small volcano, and you can walk round the edge. Who made it and what was it? A detective task for Mr. Morrissey.
Well, this was reputedly a burial site for an ancient, not an ancient, it'd be an Anglo-Saxon chieftain, so it's not ancient, who apparently died in about 593. Are you interested?
We are. We're all listening and hearing.
And I'm not sure if this makes it real, but I mean, it's also mentioned in some Saxon writings in 1006. When was that? What writings would they be? The Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. Thank you very much for correcting me, sir. And this in the 1840s, apparently there was treasure buried with this chieftain, or they thought there was, and obviously there wasn't, because they came here and marauded the place, and it was all got torn up in the 1840s from over-enthusiastic archaeologists.
Up, go on, you have to run. Yes, fine.
Isn't this gorgeous?
No, it's beautiful. But did they actually dig all this out, looking for things?
This is when it was raided in the 1840s, because they thought there was treasure down there, and there was none. They find bits of Iron Age pottery and some bronze, I think, down here. So that's how they managed to date it.
Why is it called Scutchamanog? Do you know that? Did you find that out?
Scutchamanog. Apparently, they make flax from straw and all that. So it's either they worked here, scutchers. Yeah. So either they worked up here, or they held some sort of fair here. This is where the scutchers hung out. Scutchers knob.
On foot and on horseback, many people still follow the Ridgeway. But it is legally a road. Bumpy, uncomfortable and controversial as it is, you're perfectly entitled to drive along it too.
Arguments have raged over the last few years as to whether motorbikes, in fact any kind of motorised vehicle, four-wheel drive trucks, that sort of thing, should be allowed up here on the Ridgeway. And it's interesting, as long ago as 1912, an article was published by a chap who was trying to walk along the Ridgeway and found that it was impassable due to the action of farm carts, horse-drawn carts that is, and stock. So nothing really changes.
Except, that is, the potential for noise. If you're inconsiderate, you can ruin it for everyone.
There's also an argument with the Ridgeway where people say it's special. It has this unique character. It's one of the longest continuous or semi-continuous green lane routes left in the country. And it is, of course, designated as a long-distance route, or a national trail, as they're now called, which means they are specially promoted to walkers, horse riders and cyclists. Many green roads, possibly most, you can legally take a motor vehicle on, though you shouldn't expect a surface suitable for it. But you mustn't take a motor vehicle on a bridleway. We've got this sign here, if you see, with the bridleway going off. It looks very much like the Ridgeway. So if you go into the countryside, you've got to be careful that you know where you can legally go. There's no right of access generally.
There isn't?
No, you can only go on rights of way, and that really counts whether you're a walker, a horse rider, cyclist or a motor vehicle user.
The Ridgeway doglegs its path across country. Sometimes it's chalk, sometimes a country lane, sometimes just across the grass. Whichever surface you're on, utmost care and respect is needed for fellow travellers.
about these little fellas, but the Romans, when they were here, apart from leaving us just roads, also left edible snails.
You're joking?
No, it's true. And they're all up here on the Ridgeway.
Oh, so they're snails, yes?
These are the snails, yeah. These are the snails for
the eating. Yeah. These are very good.
You want to go?
You're joking, aren't you? They didn't eat them raw, did they?
No, I don't think so, actually.
Well, and these are edible snails. Now, how do we know?
Only kidding.
How do you know that these are brought over here?
Well, I'm not sure that these are the ones, to be honest. I mean, I should imagine they're bigger. You wouldn't get much out of one of those, would you?
No, you wouldn't really.
But yeah, but apparently they brought over all these snails for food, and their ancestors remain to this very day.
So we could be looking at, you know, one of Caesar's very own snails.
Son of Caesar's snail.
Son of Caesar's snail.
There was activity here thousands of years before the Romans. According to legend, by then the devil himself had long since carved out this deep valley with a teaspoon. Exactly why, the devil only himself knows, but they named it after him, the Devil's Punch Bowl. It's bounded by wide open countryside. Paula Hamilton is enchanted with it all.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm sold. I want to come back here and look for a place to live.
You are going to move out of London, are you?
I'm serious, yeah. It's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I just love the open, the vast skies. I am so excited that you asked me to do this because I'm now back in my leathers, which I haven't been for years. I'm on a motorbike, and it just makes me feel like I'm about 10 again.
And that's how it affects everyone. More of our journey and more to see in part 2 after the country's finest purveyors of traditional music, the Albion Band.
What do I care if my pockets are bare? I walk on the ridge with the wind in my hair. And what if I can't find shelter tonight? The stars are my roof, my heavenly light. I can pull back the clouds, I can talk to the moon, I will sing to the skies, I will fiddle a tune, I will fiddle a tune. And what will I do as I wander along? I'll strike up my fiddle and make up a song. Up on the Ridgeway, man is a king. Why shouldn't he dream, and why shouldn't he sing? I can pull back the clouds, I can talk to the moon, I will sing to the skies, I will fiddle a tune, I will fiddle a tune.
The RidgeRiders are taking a detour. The green route's pretty rough in places, and we turn off for a country lane ride. We're heading off down to Blowingstone Hill, where at some apocalyptic time in the future, it's foretold that gallant warriors will be summoned up from the dead as they were when living, by a clarion call on the Blowingstone.
This is a stone, which is a sarsen stone, and apparently King Alfred used to call his knights by blowing in this here hole.
One.
You reckon Knowles can hear that? Jesus,
Oh,
that's terrible.
It was just
Sounds
warming
more
it up.
like a night out and the morning out and the
There is a debate about this.
Yeah, there's two stories, isn't there? One was Alfred getting the Saxons together to fight the Danes, and one's Arthur. He used to call his Knights of the Round Table.
You just blow, just for fun.
Go on, and I'll do a
You could do a wow, wow, wow with the hands.
Not from that angle.
Oh God, here comes the Saxon army.
Oh, look what you've done. No, boys, we're only joking.
I think it's Sergeant. No Danes today.
No.
No sign of anybody.
Yes, well, that seems to have got the ghostly Knights of Old rushing to the rescue. The Ridgeway exists because it was well drained and easy to use, but it was something of a mixed blessing for the ancients who travelled or lived up here. They had to collect rainwater or fetch supplies from the lowlands beneath. In fact, it's only recently that things have changed.
So they put in these taps at various places because people were wandering along. The weather change we've had today, you're carrying a lot of gear and all of a sudden you get hot and it's very easy to get dehydrated. So help yourself, boy. Fill your boots.
Give you my opinion. Corporation Pop.
This tap is placed here in memory of Peter Wren, aged 14 years. He loved the countryside. Oh, bless him. That's a lovely stone, isn't it? What do you reckon? It's been here, what, 5 or 6 years?
I wouldn't think much longer than that. These taps are quite a new feature. It's very nice, though. Smashing memorial.
Over the centuries, many a traveller would have met up with friends along this road. Much to Neil's astonishment, and he's never been here before, it still happens.
Chaps! Crouch End, well, this is the last place you expect to meet anyone from Crouch End up here. Yeah. What are you doing?
Just walking. Yeah, a couple of days walking from Avebury.
Did you start at Avebury?
Yeah.
So you've done, oh, you're on day 3. What, you camp, Can you camp along just along the side?
Yeah, anywhere where you can see it's
anywhere,
wide enough.
Yeah, anywhere where it's wide enough, you can camp anywhere on the ridge.
That's brilliant. I just bought myself a tent as well. I took my son camping for the first time ever.
Right, where are we going?
I took him out to Kent, you know, but this is a perfect place, isn't it? It's a holiday and a walk and everything we want.
Yeah. It's just like nothing here.
Well, we're taking these things over. Taking
nice.
This old bike. Yeah. Me and my beast. Chaps, I'll see you at Duncan's.
Yeah.
Next party.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good walk.
Okay. See you later. See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
This stranger you meet.
And what do I see while I gaze through my glass? Men move in a miniature world as I pass. And what do I feel from my lofty surround? I feel like the Lord who is great on his ground. I can pull back.
The end of this part of the journey lies just a few miles on now. We dodge around another rough section of the Ridgeway and give ourselves a spectacular ride up to a spectacular spot, the White Horse at Uffington. There's been a dig just recently, and the archaeologist David Marles says, except no other White Horse, this is the original.
There's lots of others going down into Wiltshire and Dorset, but they're all imitators of this one.
So how old's this one?
Well, this one was here 1,000 years ago. There are documents that refer to it 1,000 years ago, and what we've been doing is trying to find out how much older than that it is. At the moment, we think it's probably at least 2,000 years old.
Why was it there then?
Well, that's the other thing we've been trying to find out, because people have been arguing about this for a couple of hundred years as to why it's there. One theory is that it was carved by King Alfred after he defeated the Danes up here, and another theory was that it was carved to celebrate the arrival of Christianity. But I think it was probably carved by the Celtic people who lived up here and built the hill fort behind us over 2,000 years ago, and that it was a symbol of their horse god. Now, that from the excavations we've done up here, we know that where we're standing, all this land, silhouetted against the sky, is covered in burial grounds from about 3000 BC. And there are prehistoric burial grounds, there are Roman ones, Anglo-Saxon ones, all on this ground here. So if you stand down in the valley below and look up, silhouetted against the sky, you see the burial grounds of your ancestors.
Gosh.
And this figure is marking that.
And high on the top is Uffington Fort itself. Although there's not much to see now.
You've got to imagine that when you were approaching this place, you would have seen this huge fortification. The timbers of this rampart were about the size of telegraph poles, so they were very big timbers, and they ran all the way around the whole level fort.
And like I say, if the area was pretty bare anyway, they probably brought them with them.
They must have brought the timbers from the trees from quite some way away, because there were none up here. Because we know from this soil that we're digging down here, this is the original Iron Age soil from 500 BC down in the bottom. And from analysing things like the snails and the plant remains, we can tell that the environment then was very like today, very open, a very open downland environment and very few trees. So to make these ramparts with thousands of telegraph poles, you've got to bring that probably from down in the valleys.
Yeah, right. Fair old wall with a tree on your back.
How about this, is it St. George's Hill?
Yeah, that's Dragon Hill over there.
Okay, Dragon Hill. No, what?
That mound over there is a natural chalk mound, but the top's been carved off. And it's called Dragon Hill because it's where St. George, who rode this white horse, slaughtered the dragon, and supposedly he buried it in that mound. So
St. George existed.
St. George, yeah, he was a Roman soldier, and he was martyred. And there was a story that he slaughtered this dragon, saved the local princess, and in return they built 3 churches to celebrate. This was over in the Holy Land. So because he was seen as a knight, he was riding a horse, when the Crusaders went over there, they kind of adopted him. They brought him back and made him the patron saint.
So he was a holy man warrior.
Well, yeah, and he became the patron saint of medieval England.
St. George wasn't English. I've no idea it was Giorgio. Huh? He came over here and they said, "Hey, Giorgio, go to kill the dragon for us." Huh?
No, he was from the Lebanon.
Oh, was he? He's Lebanese. Yes, even worse. They came over here sucking on his couscous and came and slaughtered our bloody dragon. That was a bit of a cheat. It might have been a nice dragon.
There's just one place to relax along the Ridgeway, and only one way to do it. At Bridgecombe Farm, we found the only cream tea to be had for miles around. The RidgeRiders mull over the day's events.
I've seen my first corn surfer, even it was a bit of a pathetic.
Yeah, but that was a rip-off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was no alien ship.
I thought you were very good at the hole blowing.
The hole blowing.
He had the best sound, didn't he? But you were very close. You hit a close second.
Well, there's also a great.
There's just one thing we do regret about the day, however, and you just might be able to help.
Paula lost an earring along the way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's one that looks... Have you got it on you?
Right.
It looks like this. Now, if you can actually find the other one
really
and send
like
it to us, you'll be
It's
friends for life with Paula.
Is it a valuable earring then?
Very, very,
Or does it have great
valuable.
sentimental
Great
value?
sentimental value.
Well, look, thanks very much, everyone, for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. And join us next week when we'll have a couple more RidgeRiders doing the next bit on our quest along the Ridgeway, from Wayland Smithy all the way through to... where are we going?
Barbary Castle.
Thank you very much. Barbary Castle. Join us then. No, that's it. Yes, you'll be on.